And 3, 2, 1, bingo.
Bingo bango.
Are we up and going?
We are live.
Awesome. So we're here for another episode of the Lone Star Podcast. I'm with Brock Dumoit, 4-time Lone Star Podcast
Champion.
Yeah, Cody, suck it. We're also joined by Mathis. Matt, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing well, sir.
Awesome.
So Matt is a singer-songwriter floating around the country scene here in the honky tonks of Texas, right? So we're geared up with him. We are here in the #1 studio in all of Galveston County, the She Shed.
The She Shed.
Is that what we're calling it? Is that the official name?
For today, it is.
So I know this is something different for the Lone Star podcast folks, but we're going live video feed here. It's pretty exciting. We're happy to do it and looking forward to see how this one turns out.
I think it's going to be exciting.
I do too. So Matt, my man,
What's up?
what's your story? Where'd you come from? Who are you?
Well, my name is Matthew David Mathis. I was born in Lake Jackson, Texas. Actually, I was born in Freeport, I guess, in a hospital that is now inside of Dow Chemical. Anyways.
That's what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
So you were in a petri dish in a lab somewhere.
Yeah. A lot of people were born there, a lot of good people. But no, I'm born and raised Lake Jackson. Never, always wanted to leave. Never did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So been playing music for, since I was 17. I'll be 38 next week. So
Seems like you've been playing longer than that.
you didn't know me when I was 17 though.
Well, I know, but it seems like that. Like I've seen a video of you like doing Tool or something like that when you were like
It wasn't Tool.
12.
It was Garth Brooks.
Oh, same
Completely
thing.
different. Completely different.
Easily confused.
Yeah. No, in 5th grade we had a so Garth Brooks growing up was like my idol. Like
Yeah.
Like most people thought about the Beatles or Elvis or whatever, the first time they saw that. The first time I ever saw Garth Brooks on TV was like life changing for me. Just the simple fact that I'd never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to be an entertainer from that point on, So in like 5th grade, I sang "Shameless" on
Nice. Good choice.
for a I don't even know what you call it, like a talent day. And
This was at school?
Yeah, I was wearing overalls with the one of them unhooked.
A nipple show?
I think I was wearing a.
We had a Whitney.
I was wearing a silk shirt underneath.
A Whitney
that had-
Houston situation?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that would be Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So yeah, I was wearing all that, and I think I had some like UGG boots on or something. I don't know. It was like ridiculous. That was the sign of the times. But I think the coveralls were like acid wash too. I mean, that's what's crazy about them.
Yeah.
So my whole family was there too. It's kind of weird. It was like nobody else's family was there. Like my grandpa, my grandma, my mom, my dad. Like nobody else's family was there but mine. It was like just in a little music room.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, I had a video of it, and I don't know, it's floating around somewhere. Like VHS is dead.
So 17 comes around. When did you start? Like, was it 5th grade on? I'm like serious. That's all I'm going to do is play music, or
Well, I'd always been in choir.
Okay.
So I just loved singing. I just loved being in that whole thing. And then 17, I met a guy named James Longoria in a choir class, and he played guitar, and he had kind of shown me some bands, Rage Against the Machine and things like that. So I'd never heard any type of music like that before. I grew up listening to country. So some people just gave me some things in that point in time in my life where it just kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like, it was like the Limp Bizkit's first album, Metallica Black.
What was the name of that first album?
$3 Bill Y'all.
$3 Bill Y'all.
Yeah.
I still that was
That was the best Limp Bizkit album still to this day, I think.
that album was crunk.
It was good. But I all that, and then around this time, I was real rebellious, and I didn't really like to go to school a lot. But I just found James at this certain point in time in both of our lives where like we were, like, let's start a band, and we both had the same ideas, and so we did, and we started a kind of like a Rage Against the Machine type band, to the point where like I dropped out of high school when I was 18. And
good choice.
And our very first gig was at a class of 2000, like end of year graduation party for mainly the orchestra people, like orchestra and band, right? And so I had been out of school for about a couple of months, and I had shaved my head. And like we went and like we used to go to Goodwill or whatever, and we'd find like I found an old Boy Scout uniform and wore that, and just these parents were just like, what is about to happen right now?
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about it is that our band had an orchestra guy in it, and had a band in the high school band guy. So the high school band guy was the drummer, and he was young. Both of them were young, and then the bass player was in the orchestra as well.
They're actually a really talented group.
Yeah, no, they were super talented.
Yeah,
and they they were just kind of like you would never think that they would play that type of music, but they loved it. Mm-hmm. And me and James just happened to find these guys, and we're just like, let's try to do this, and we did it, and it was just like some of the most fun I've ever had in my life. It didn't last very long, when you get into high school band, sometimes it just kind of. But we did every like rock star thing you could ever think of to do, just pissed a lot of people off, and but my dad used to let us practice at his house, and like I never thought that he would ever let us do that. It was kind of weird, just because we were just very loud and aggressive. But he just got it, He was just like, this guy's got to get something out,
Yeah.
He would come to a couple of shows, and like my mom came to a few, but like it was kind of hard to listen to for them, It's a lot of screaming, a lot of I wrote a lot of the lyrics, and
so much pain.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff was a lot of it was very political.
Nobody understands me.
Yeah, a lot of it was very political, just because of the fact that we were like a Rage Against the Machine kind of cut from that same cloth.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know anything about politics. James was very like involved in all politics, so I didn't know anything about it. So I just kind of came from it with a rebellious rage type deal, and I just wrote lyrics, and he played guitar, and we came up with some great songs that are now just lost in the ether somewhere, because nobody has any recordings of it anymore.
Wow.
I still love a lot of the old stuff that you used to do. You were playing one for me earlier. I'm gonna make you play it again.
Yeah, but that came later though.
Yeah,
this was like high school. But so we came up with a name called Fifth Column, and the reason why we did that was we just like went through a thesaurus or a dictionary or something. And what's the difference? What's the difference
between you and Fifth Harmony?
No, a thesaurus and a dictionary.
Oh, the dictionary tells you the actual diction or the word.
Okay,
Thesaurus
the
will
definition.
tell you other words that are similar, like
right.
synonyms.
Okay, so we looked up in a dictionary, and we just kind of like went through and just picked, just flipped through and picked a deal. And so we just came and put it all in a hat, and everybody had a name, and Fifth Column came out. And it was really weird, because Fifth Column was like some something that happened way back in the day that the fifth column overthrew the fourth column, and so it was like it worked out. But it was excuse me, I'm sorry, that was not good.
Very
but
couth.
It was, yeah, that was very couth. I apologize. Sorry, Mom. No, but that was amazing. Like it kind of got me into wanting to be in a band. The band broke up over some like crazy, stupid reasons. It was just like high school,
18-year-old reasons.
High school stupid shit.
Yeah. Are there any 18-year-old bands that not from the 70s that have like turned out to be great? Like,
Uh,
I think mostly pop groups are probably the only thing that you would really think about that.
And just real quick, just want to say your sister says hello.
Always.
And your mom
my
says
mom
hello.
Says hello.
Hey, Mom. Hey.
They don't say hello as much as they just like have heart emojis on there.
Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. Yeah, I was thinking. So, like, I know some of the old 70s rock band guys were high school. You know, the lead singer and the lead guitarist got together in high school, started playing bands. I'm trying to think like a Skinner and Allman Brothers and stuff like that. So some of them guys have.
That's what we wanted to be.
Forever, yeah.
That's really, I mean, and James came from like an old 70s, rock background. I mean, he loved Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan. He listened to all those. He was just one of the most amazing guitar players I ever met in my life.
Yeah.
So I was just glad that
part
he was,
of it, right?
Yeah, that he was my friend, number one, and that number two, like we got to play music together. But the reason why it didn't last is just we didn't know how to make it last. It was like everything was kind of moving in a different direction. We started out as Fifth Column and then ended up as something else with some other band members, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah. So when did it take kind of a serious turn when you're like, this is how I'm going to make my living, this is how I'm going to pursue full tilt, the whole shebang, right?
Right. I always had that dream for from the time I got on stage and sang for the first time. It just I started writing my own. Well, I wrote lyrics in that band. I didn't play guitar or anything. I kind of just only knew 3 chords at that point in time in my life. My dad played guitar whenever I was little, and that kind of really made me want to be a guitar, like learn how to play guitar. Him trying to teach me or whatever kind of just didn't work out. And I remember this vividly. He doesn't remember this, but I remember him telling me that I was unteachable, and we just never had another lesson after that. So, when you're a kid, you just kind of think, well, I'll show you,
Yeah.
And so I did. I just James taught me 3 chords, and
G, C, and D.
Yeah. And like
that's all you got to know.
Yeah, exactly.
For country, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the time I wasn't singing country, but I just wanted to learn how to play guitar just because I had stuff to say other than what was in Fifth Column and the other band that we had, but I wanted to just write my own songs. And so I learned those 3 chords and never really never had them teach me anything else. Around that time, the internet was popping, and so tabs started coming out, which is they're numbers. And they show you how to.
I never figured out how to read tabs.
It's not hard.
For me, it was.
Well, I mean, if you know G and C and D,
I just could never figure it out.
Yeah, no, it was difficult to learn, but I learned how to play guitar by myself, right?
Yeah.
So people ask me all the time to teach them how to play guitar, and I just can't.
I'm not the guy for you.
Yeah, because I don't want to teach somebody how to play wrong.
So I've heard that before because I've dabbled in trying to learn before, and I've been told by several people, do not learn from musicians.
Yeah,
like people that play whatever, they're like, because they do shortcuts and they do this and that. They won't teach you right.
Right.
He says, you.
Learn
if
from
you
teachers.
really want to learn, you want to go to a class and learn properly, right?
Yeah, I always wanted to. I mean, my parents tried to even get me to play piano at one point in time, and I just rebelled against that. And I really regret that.
Yeah.
I spent all this time in choir. I don't know how to read any kind of music, any sheet music or anything like that.
Yeah.
I can't play piano worth a shit, but I mean I can play the guitar.
Yeah.
And I can't play it amazingly. I don't know any solos or anything like that. I'm a glorified rhythm player, basically.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like when you play guitar, it doesn't sound like a bad rendition of what the heck is that?
Sweet Home Alabama?
No, what's the video game? Bing,
Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero. Yeah, you don't sound that bad.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends.
So you reminded me, are you familiar with a group of kids out of Pearland called Nick and the Groove?
Yes.
So your story about kids kind of coming together or whatever, I'm a big fan of them. I try to go watch them wherever they're playing at. Them kids blow my mind.
Yeah, I never got to see them before. I've seen videos of them, but they definitely got something going.
Yeah.
What kind of music do they play?
Everything.
What's amazing about them is they'll go Garth Brooks, followed by Tool, followed by Dolly Parton, followed by Queen, followed
Bruno
by
Mars.
Yeah. Chris Stapleton. They just hit every.
So they're just like an eclectic cover band.
Yes.
But they're very, very good, and they're 16, 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
They came from the School of Rock over there in Webster.
Right.
They all were
right here.
Yeah.
They were playing there for years, I guess, and they decided to start a band. And yeah, they're excellent. It's fun watching them. We saw them at the Garage Bar in Alvin, and it was fun watching because bottles are clinking, everybody's there. It's kind of a rough and tumble place. The parents got to be there because none of them are 18. And they start playing.
How old are they?
16, 17 years old.
Holy
they may
crap.
be 17, 18 now, but last year they were 16, 17.
Some of those kids, like whenever well, I guess they've probably been playing for a little bit, but like, man, some of these kids these days are just phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Like you see a 5 or 6 year old playing drums or something like that, and it just blow your mind.
No, these
Peart.
dudes are talented, right? So it's 3 guys. You got the lead singer's a guy, the lead guitarist a guy, the drummer's a guy, and then you have bass player that's a gal, and a keyboard player that's a gal. And they're studs, man. And they you can kind of see they play songs that highlight each one of their skills.
Yeah.
The heavy keyboards, whatever, in the gal kind of shows off. And the next song will be heavy and bass.
Yeah.
And the next song's got a drum solo. They take turns with it. They do really well.
The lead singer is just ridiculous.
He's amazing. He really is.
I mean, oh God, if you could, just harness that and give it to everybody else, I mean, that would just be amazing.
Yeah, it's super talented.
And just at a young age. Like,
yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, like I said, what's fun was, there at the Garage Bar was kind of the most prevalent, right, is that they're sitting there playing, and they throw down Chris Stapleton, Tennessee Whiskey, and all the, country boys in there, hooping and hollering.
Yeah.
And the next song's
Bruno Mars.
Yeah, Bruno Mars, and the moms are, hooping and hollering.
That'd be my wife.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
the
I love
next
Bruno
song
Mars.
is
I do too.
why can't I'm not thinking the
Tool. Sober.
Yeah, Tool. It'll be.
But
anyways,
they play
so-
Tool, though?
Yeah, they play Tool.
Sober?
Yes.
Well, I mean, they're sober. They're
Yeah.
like 16, 17 years old.
I've drawn a blank on the damn band.
They play Rage
Led
Against the
Zeppelin.
Machine?
Yeah,
Oh,
they'll play
yeah.
Led Zeppelin.
No, I have seen the video of them doing the Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. And then all the old frickin' rockers are coming out, and so at a certain point,
So you just have
everybody's
a very wide net.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
I
what
mean-
I'm saying. Everybody kind of stops talking and stops bottle clinking and stops
Yeah.
whatever and starts paying attention. Like, damn, who are these kids? Because
Yeah.
they reach out and touch everybody.
Right.
And what's their name again? Nick and the Groove?
Nick and the Groove.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, they're like,
Maybe
go
we'll
look
try to have
up.
them on.
I have. We've talked a little bit. I want to get them on to do a big recording, but maybe with your help with microphones and stuff, we
Dude,
may be able to set it
we
up.
can make it. We can make it happen.
Yeah. No, that band
'Cause
is
I
awesome.
was like, I don't know how to record a full band.
Yeah.
I'm not. That's
We can make it
beyond my
happen.
skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to, man. They've been in contact. Their game. We got to set up. But yeah, they're
We can make it work.
really great to watch. I've said before, I think they're one of the best shows in all of Houston area.
Yeah, so-
17-year-old kids,
So speaking of shows,
Right.
when is your next show?
Thursday
Mhm.
in Oyster Creek at
What's the
Badass Ice House. Thursday the 12th at my birthday.
That is your birthday.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday
Thank you.
ahead of time.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
I'll give you your spankings later.
it.
And then are you playing anywhere after that?
I think the 28th at the Fill Station in Lake Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Matt, when did you just came out with the album, right? Or
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years
November will be 2 years.
Okay. So tell us about how that came, or the inspiration, how it came about, kind of the whole leading up to it. I know albums,
man.
take a lot out of you, right?
Yeah.
Or years in the making,
Yeah. Well, they say that you spend like your whole life writing your first album, and
Mhm.
then then your second album is like you got to write it in 6 months.
Yeah.
This one, I have like 140 songs that I've written just from over the years.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And I know this because I counted the other day. But so we'll go back. I got divorced for the second time about 8 years ago. And after that, I started writing songs that sounded country.
Okay.
Because during that time that I was married, I was in a band with Brock, and we were playing like heavy rock music. And so then I started writing country songs, and it was all depressing, just sad.
The greatest,
yeah,
the greatest ones. That's
Which-
yeah.
like writing,
Second divorce. She took my dog.
yeah,
They say if you play it backwards, though, you get everything back.
yeah, that's what they say. But writing sad songs, that's just the easiest thing possible for me, at least.
Yeah.
I can't write a love song to save my life, and when I do, it comes out, I guess, all right. But Just something about I can put myself in a sad
Not quite
place.
natural.
Yeah.
to
You
write the
have
love
written
song.
pretty like a lot of breakup songs.
Yeah.
A lot of like
no, I do,
painful
and I
songs.
do, and I actually have a song that I just wrote a couple months ago. That's just basically about like not wanting to write about that topic anymore. But then the irony of it is that you're writing a song about not writing.
Not writing. So
Yeah.
I've also heard though, like if love was not a thing, right?
Yeah.
What would you write about?
I don't know. Like,
what would most
what
people write about?
What did cavemen write about?
Whiskey.
Like,
Yeah, whiskey. But then whiskey always leads back to like "Whiskey and You" by
Stapleton.
Stapleton.
yeah.
Great song.
Yeah.
Great song.
But I mean, that was because he was, well, I guess the love helped him get over.
There's a lot of
the
songs
whiskey.
written about drugs,
that is true.
Yeah. Making that paper.
Yeah.
money.
Yeah. I guess you.
Yeah.
I guess you could do it with money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, love.
yeah.
It all comes back.
So I didn't even know that I really wanted to do country music. I've been told my whole life that my voice suited country music, and I just I've always been a rebellious person, and somebody tells me to do something, I'm not gonna do it. Hence the 2 divorces.
I personally like your rock voice, but that's
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's fans for different genres, but so Country Strong. This is like very stupid as shit, right? Country Strong is a movie that came out. I can't remember, like many years ago. And me and my mother went to go watch it, and whenever we got out of the movie, like I just cried. Like I mean, like because the movie was basically everything that I ever wanted. Like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be that guy in this movie playing songs. The songs were just touched me in a way to where like we did sit out in the parking lot and cry over the fact that like she was like, this, I know this is something you want to do with your life, and I was like, yes, now I know this is what I need to do. Went home and
You were
and
sitting
wrote,
by yourself, just crying?
No, me and
With
my
his
mother.
mom.
Oh,
Pay
that's
attention.
sweet. Never mind.
Pay attention, man. Come on.
Yeah. So anyway, so I go home and like I wrote a bunch of songs, like just an ungodly amount of songs, and some of them were bad, some of them were good, whatever. So I ended up meeting a guy in a bar, and he introduced me to this guy named Randy Adkins, who is like a big time. Well, I mean, like to him, if I said big time, he'd say shut the fuck up. But he's very well known in our area to be connected with musicians. He's not a musician himself, although he does play and he sings. I think he has a great voice, and he doesn't think so. But when I get drunk, I love to watch him or hear him sing.
Yeah.
That's all I want to hear.
Well,
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah. But anyway, so like we got hooked up, and he like didn't know what to think of me whenever he first met me. He watched me perform one time, and then said, I'm sorry for not taking you seriously, but I want to help you out in any way I can. I said, okay, that's what I wanted. So he introduced me to a couple of people, and I started playing like in places that I'd never played before. And then just throughout the whole process, he introduced me to a guy named John Evans, who I had met way back in the day at a place called the Angleton Ice House, which is not around anymore.
That place closed?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm not from Angleton, but it's not there anymore?
You're not from Angleton?
No, I'm not from there anymore.
Right.
I wouldn't say.
So Angleton's not like once a Raider, always a Raider?
Absolutely not. I got out very quickly.
Yeah, anyways.
Hashtag excellence.
So, yeah. So to make a long story short, like Randy introduced me to John. John I had known, like I had looked up to him kind of, like I saw him perform way back in the day. And I even told him like, hey, I'm starting to play music, and he was like, man, just keep on doing it, And little did I know that like all these many, many years later, we would be like really, really good friends. He wanted to, we were playing a show one night in Bay City, and he asked me, or he told me, it was like, we're going to make an album. You need to make an album. And so he told me a figure, like a money figure of what he thought that,
It would cost.
it would cost to make an album. And I just told him there's no way in hell I'll be able to get that money. You know, I don't play music full time. I do work, you know. Anyway, so like Randy helped me out with all that. Randy helped me get the album together. John was gracious enough to provide his time. And we just went into the studio. I sent him a bunch of songs. He picked the songs, and we went into his studio in Dripping Springs and made the record. He brought in amazing musicians that play with other like Texas country artists, and just.
I was going to ask you, so you don't typically play with the full band, but like whenever I heard the album. So those were all like live musicians. None of those were like studio instruments.
Every one of those guys came in for one day and did all that. Like never heard my music before.
Holy cow!
Yeah, and it was just one of the most crazy things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
I remember whenever Jeff Queen, who played steel guitar and lead guitar on the record, came in, and he plays with Hayes Carl. He plays with a lot with Bruce Robeson. But he came in and laid down some steel on top of everything that we had been doing, and I went outside and just bawled my eyes out.
Well, I was going to say, man, it's got to be surreal hearing kind of what you have in your head come to life.
Yeah, and it was exactly what I thought.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That's what drives me wild about musicians, man, that come in that are great like that. They can just come in and nail it first take.
He listened to it one time through, and he like played along with it, you know. But the crazy thing is that he plays steel and lead, right on the record. So he would play steel and leave himself a lead part, you know, like
had the foresight to do it.
And me and him hadn't played together, you know. Like I mean, it was just crazy how he just picked it up like that, and I was just so gracious, you know, to him. Like whenever he left, I'm a hugger, and I just wanted to hug his neck and just be like, man, just thank you so much, you know.
Yeah.
And that he gave his time and actually came and did that. But he did it as a favor to John, and then whenever he was done, he actually told me, he was like, man, those good songs. I want that copy of that whenever we're done.
Awesome, man.
And man, so when I actually got to listen to everything all together, it was ridiculous. Work's calling me right now. It's crazy.
Speaking of work, like you actually got chosen for The Voice, right?
No,
you didn't get chosen for The Voice.
No, I tried out.
Oh, you tried out, but your boss wouldn't let you go or something like that.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so what happened there? The long.
I worked for a company, and I was supposed to be able to be off to go try out, and it was all scheduled and ready to go. And then a guy that was over the whole division that I was in decided that I couldn't be off, and if I was going to take off, then I was going to probably lose my job.
Your job.
Yeah, so I didn't go. I did end up going. I did go at one point in time. I sabotaged myself. I went out the night before and, kind of a pre-pat on the back. Like you have this already in hand type thing. And woke up the next morning with like just a hoarse voice and waited
Pounding
for like,
head and a shiner on your eye.
Yeah, waited like 8 hours to sing and finally got my chance and choked and decided that, I mean, it really was the whole process of that. It was just disgusting to me. It was terrible.
TV, yeah.
What was it like?
I mean, you're just like you wait around all day. You're kind of like a herd of cattle, and then you go into a room with like I can't remember how many people, 10 maybe less, maybe a little less, and you all sit in a row, and they just call your name, and you get up, stand up, say your name, where you're from, and what you're gonna sing. And
do you have to sing in front of everybody?
Yes, and then you sing, and then you only get like 30 seconds, I think, to like sing whatever you're gonna sing, and then you sit. Then the person sits down, the next person gets up and sings, and I was like the last person to go, and I was nervous, and it wasn't a good time. But I just knew that when I got done with it, that's not the route I wanted to go.
Yeah,
people tell you all the time like, oh, you should go on American Idol, you should go on The Voice, and I'm like, why? Like, it's good for some people, but I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like a long shot, right? Is the easy thing to say, but it's also a lot of unnecessary headache, right? A lot of turning your life upside down for a chance of maybe. Because if you do get picked and you go far in the show, then everything else gets put on hold and you're pursuing that, which can do a lot for you.
Right.
But what's the fourth place person from American Idol doing nowadays? I don't. From 3 years ago, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember who that person was.
I kind of feel like though that if you are the fourth place person that in at least The Voice, you have that exposure, and then you also have the freedom of being able to kind of figure out where you want to go after that.
Yeah.
The probably the second place and the first place people, they're kind of more like held down on this is what you're going to do. And
you want to read that last live comment?
Well, he's not my boss.
Watch out, the boss is watching.
Yeah, he's not my boss.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So the album comes out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
What happens after that, man? You mean we get a whirlwind?
It went off like gangbusters. No, it didn't. I was stupid, and kind of put it out there before it probably should have came out.
Advertising wise, or promotion wise.
Yeah.
Okay.
John Evans, the guy that produced it, kind of told me that, like, you need to. I know you're excited and you want this to happen, but you need to there needs to be a push behind it. You need to figure that out. And I was just kind of didn't want to listen to that. I'm like, this people need to hear this music.
Yeah.
He actually got mad at me during production of it because I would send tracks that he would send me, rough copies of the tracks. I would send it to people, and he's like, "Don't do that." But I just, I wanted people to hear it. I wanted to know if we were doing a good job but I mean, really, the one thing that, going back to American Idol, the one thing that always, like, when you see terrible people on American Idol, they always say that, like, they have people that tell them that they sing good. You know what I'm saying? So when you're around a group of people that are always telling you that you're good, you're great.
Yes, man.
Yeah, you need somebody from the outside to tell you that things are good, right? Yeah. And so I guess it's just always looking for that validation. But, like, I just wanted people to hear it. I just wanted to know if I was going down the right path and doing what I needed to do.
You gonna try out again?
No.
You just don't want to go through that again?
Well, I mean, shit, I'm almost 40 years old. Like,
so? Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, no.
There's like people that are 40 on there all the time that.
Yeah, and then they get the sympathy votes. And people are like, "Oh,
dude,
look at this."
Sympathy votes are votes.
Look at this old.
I think you could, dude. I think you could go further than you think. Let's ask the audience.
No, we're good.
Everybody,
actually, that guy is my boss.
Who, Dustin?
Dustin Dyer.
Tighten up.
He is actually my boss's boss.
Hi, Dustin.
Tighten up, though.
Uh-oh. We're frozen.
Uh-oh.
On the live feed, but I think everybody can still hear us. It'll straighten up.
Let's get jammed up.
Yeah. So anyway, it didn't do what it probably should have done. But it is what it is. People that I've given it to, like, I mean, I've made $200 off of it in the past 2 years. And I've sold all 300 copies that I've made, like physical copies. So I mean, to me, it's a win. I still get people coming up and, saying different songs on there are their favorites, and
yeah.
I think it's ridiculous you haven't gone farther than you have.
It is. It's my own fault though, and really just like I got married and had kids young. Every opportunity that came up for me was like during that time period, and I couldn't do it.
More and more, I think independent artists like yourself and people trying to self-promote, I honestly believe the way of the future, the way you should go is YouTube, man, all day long.
Oh yeah.
There's people that I watch or I look at and I pull up music videos or I pull up somebody just playing acoustic shows, and they have 14 million views and stuff like that, and they're not anybody you've ever heard of, right?
No,
but they're just talented folks that can sing well and perform good songs.
Oh yeah.
And they just put out a lot of videos. Like there's this guy Josh Turner Guitar is the YouTube channel, and I believe he's been putting out videos since he's since he was 15 or so, 16 years old.
Right.
Looks to be about early 20s now, and he's got millions of subscribers, and he does cover songs. He does a few originals on there, but it's mostly cover songs. He's an excellent guitar player, plays banjo, plays bass, just super talented guy. But he gets a bunch of buddies around. Hey, you know, come over, and he'll play guitar and have his girlfriend, or, you know, his girl that's a friend, right, sing in Black Velvet or something.
Right.
He's jamming out, you know, and he brings his buddy over, and they're singing some old Eagles song, you know, just whatever. And they conglomerate as musicians, you know, and they're just doing a little clever editing and good quality microphones, and it's gone a long way. And I guarantee he makes his living off putting out YouTube videos now.
No, yeah.
And they never cut an album, as far as I know. I don't even know if they tour, if they're in a live band. I'm sure they do, but
I mean, you don't really have to when you have the platform like that, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I don't understand why people don't do it more. That's I want to steer this podcast into that direction, have folks like yourself on, and, you know, eventually I'd like to have it's set up to where I could do this, but you sit on a bar stool with a guitar in your hand, we talk, have a conversation. Well, let me hear one of them songs on the thing. You pluck it out right there. Badass, man, good job.
Yeah.
Folks in the background cheering.
Yeah.
And we'll continue talking.
Right.
You know, that's the direction I'm trying to take this thing. You know, Brock's helping me out. But that's kind of my goal, because all the videos that I enjoy of the artists that I like, Stapleton, Tyler Childers, you know, some of these guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
NPR Tiny Desk concerts. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
Just do a little interview. If they're 15 minutes long, they play 3 songs.
Yeah.
And
well, Tyler Childers' first record that he came out with was all acoustic.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, that's just, I mean, I actually, we were talking about this earlier, but I came out, one of my first records, like, that I ever made was all acoustic. Well, there was like some like distorted guitar in it, but it was just me in a living room, or in my bedroom in my apartment, and I recorded it all with the help of some friends, and like just wanted to put it out. And I have like over 1,000 copies, like sitting at my parents' house.
I went 1,000 copies?
Yeah. I went there today and picked one up because I wanted to listen to it. But like acoustic music to me used to be like just ridiculous. Like I didn't really get it. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Until I saw my first acoustic show where somebody actually did it correctly.
Yeah.
You know? And
who was it?
I can't even remember. Like, I mean, it wasn't
just
like
someone local.
Yeah, just someone local that like just played. Like I was like, okay, I get it now. Like you have to, like, I understood the whole dynamic of it, right? And then I thought, well, if I ever do that, I want to be also entertaining, because acoustic show gets a little, you know,
it's
boring.
A little comedy sketch in between somewhere.
I play 4 hours every night that I play acoustically.
Dude, that's crazy.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And very early on I realized, well, I mean, I'm a performer anyways. Like, I mean, that's just is what it is. And so I can't, like, even like whenever me and Brock had our band, in practice, I couldn't just go like, you know, just sing a quarter of the way, just kind of like go through the motions. I just went 100% all the time. And it kind of hurt me in a way, but you know,
practices were fun though.
Yeah, it was. But I can't do that. I can't, like, even if I sing karaoke, I go 100%.
Yeah.
I just can't. When it comes to music, I can't just do it half-assed.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to be entertaining. I wanted to, like, you know, put on a show. And my very first gig that I had playing acoustically, it was like that was what happened. And like the whole crowd was just like, it was just crazy. And I was just I was like, this is it. I've made it, you know, like I've done it. And I was perfectly happy with that being, you know, just that group, that night, that being it. And if that would have ended, you know, and I would have never been able to sing again, I would have been happy with that.
Yeah.
But now it's been, you know, like 15 years that I've been playing acoustically, and every night it's different, and it feels great, and you know, I don't know, I enjoy it.
That's by far my favorite style of show is
Yeah.
guitar, good
Me
singer,
too.
clever song,
Yeah.
and I can get behind that all day long.
I saw Chris
'Cause-
Christopherson
Oh,
acoustic,
wow.
just him and a guitar was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just
That's amazing. Yeah.
it was just mind blowing. It like a friend of mine, Dub Miller, opened up for him that night, and he said, I don't know whether to to burn my guitar or go home and write, you know, as many songs as I can.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, that's the way you felt after watching that. It was
Yeah.
either I'm never going to be that, or I'm going to strive to be exactly like that. You know?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, who are some artists that you played with that have really kind of been like, holy shit, I'm getting to play with fill in the blank?
Oh man. Well, John Evans was one that I always wanted to play with, just because I just remember him from when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So that was awesome. And then to come to find out that he's like just an amazing person, you know, after the fact was awesome. I guess whenever we played together, we got to open up a couple of dates for Parabel.
Yeah.
Who the lead singer used to be the lead singer of Evans Blue. And I was just a huge fan of his. Just his voice was ridiculous. His writing was crazy. And I got to we got to open up for them at Scout Bar down here, and he took our dressing room that night. Remember?
Who?
Madison.
Madison. Yeah.
Took our dressing room to put like merch in or something like that. It was like it was terrible. And so I was like, man, screw this guy, you know, like, and he acted like an asshole to us.
Yeah.
And then in San Antonio the next night, he sat right there front row and watched the whole show, watched us play.
Wow.
And I was just freaking out the whole time.
Wow.
Like, I was just like, wow, this is like crazy. And after the show, I went down and started talking to him. And yeah, we won't talk about what happened the rest of the night, 'cause, like, that was
Yeah. Was that in San Antonio?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, but no. So
Do better than that.
country wise, I got to. Speaking of John Evans is good friends with Hayes Carl and Jack Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
And
Jack Ingram's kind of like is taken over as the patriarch of Texas country music. For some reason. He got that,
and rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's been doing it for a long time, and finally now is getting to where he can do his own music.
Yeah.
That Midnight Motel album is awesome.
Excellent,
I don't know if you've heard it or not.
I've heard a few songs. I haven't listened to the whole thing.
Anyways, so I was at the Saxon Pub in Austin.
Yeah.
Hayes Carl does an acoustic show there, where he brings in different artists and stuff, and Jack was going to be his guest. So I went with John and this guy Patrick Hersfeld, who is John's engineer and also his drummer. And he played drums and engineered my album. So we went there, hung out, and me and Patrick just hung out in the back. John had went up front and like watched the whole show. We couldn't get up front. It was like packed. So we just sat in the back. Me and Patrick didn't watch the whole show. It was amazing as it probably should have been. But after the show, they all go back in the green room, and I'd asked, like, is it all right if I go back there? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay. and so like I walked back there, and I wasn't prepared to see what I saw. You know, like I walked back there, and there's Jack Ingram and there's Hayes Carl sitting on a couch together, and then John's like sitting over in a chair, and then John's like, hey, come over here. And I go and sit down, and I'm like sitting in between Hayes Carl and Jack Ingram, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like what's going on now? And John's like, hey, this is this guy I was telling you about, you know, blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, it's nice to meet you. Let's go outside and smoke a cigarette. And I'm like, all right, let's do that. So we like go outside.
Yes.
And we're like smoking cigarettes, and like everybody outside's like going crazy, you know, like, oh my god, they're like trying to get at them, and we're like trying to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And that's whenever I realized, like, man, their lives and my life is completely different. Like, you know, they can't even go outside and smoke a cigarette without people hounding them. But no, that was a cool moment. Jack Ingram's a really cool dude, and Hayes Carl's just, you know, everything you'd want Hayes Carl to be.
I love his music, man.
Yeah,
I love his music.
But Brandon Jenkins, met Brandon, opened up for Brandon Jenkins in Bay City, and he was just an awesome guy. Just like very humble guy. And what was weird was that he was very shy. Like, just, you know, didn't really even when he was playing, it was just kind of like he did an acoustic show, and even when he was playing, it was just like it kind of felt like he was just like like I felt when I was up there, and I'm like,
Mhm.
you're Brandon Jenkins.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? But he just killed it that night and was just amazing. We got to hang out a little bit afterwards, and talk to him. And yeah, whenever I found out that he passed away, that was just like, God, it was just
It's terrible,
crazy.
man. Terrible. Like, we talked a little bit about it before this podcast, but he was one of the original inspirations for me starting this thing. Is he was supposed to play Orange Bar in Santa Fe, and my parents' house is less than a mile away from Orange Bar.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, there's no way I can. I was thinking about doing this podcast, and kind of going back and forth, and he was the exact type of person that I wanted to get on there.
Yeah.
And I said, there's no way he can come to Santa Fe. I can't try
Right.
to get him on. So I started doing it, and I started following him and paying attention to what he was saying on social media and this and that. And he had his heart issues, and he was spent the week in the hospital. And he's like, okay, going in surgery, so you guys want to get out. And then we don't hear nothing for 3 days.
Yeah.
And I said something to my wife. I was like, man, I hadn't heard from this guy. Or I was like, he hadn't put anything out. I don't, in a conversation we were just talking about, I was like, I don't know. And then the next day they came out and said he passed away. And I was like, unbelievable.
So he passed away from complications and heart
surgery. Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I don't remember what exactly was happening with heart murmur or something like that.
Something.
But he went in for, you want to call it routine heart surgery, but
Yeah.
it's still heart surgery, right? But he passed away from complications.
Man, it's
terrible.
That's brutal.
Yeah. But incredible talent, man, and
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the
Huge.
it's funny because I heard Feet Don't Touch the Ground and Finger on the Trigger from him before I heard it from Randy Rogers and Blue Edmondson, right?
Right.
That redid it and made him famous, right?
Yeah.
And my brother, actually, it's funny because if you know my brother, he's not crazy into music or anything like that, but for whatever reason, he had a Brandon Jenkins CD
Yeah.
back then, and we jammed that out, and we're like, man, these songs are badass. So I always enjoyed Brandon Jenkins, and every time I heard the Stoney LaRue, Feet Don't Touch the Ground, or the Blue Edmondson, whatever, and I'm like, yeah, that's great, but Brandon Jenkins was actually the man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I tell people that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's kind of that part, like I say, I'm into singer-songwriters. I'm into kind of the guys, kind of creating the music. It's not more impressive, right? Because one is the other. The Dean Dillon story,
Oh, yeah.
him and George Strait. The documentary on that is just fascinates me.
Yeah.
And my wife gets mad at me because I was like, George Strait's great, 100%. I was like, but how great is George Strait without Dean Dillon writing 20 of his number one singles?
Exactly.
But at the same time, those number one singles wouldn't have been number one if it had been for George Strait. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like chicken for the egg. But
Yeah.
it's still a fun conversation for me to have,
But still, listen to Dean Dillon sing those songs, though.
It's great,
I
right?
mean, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Fixing this for the camera. Sorry.
Better?
Yeah. Sorry. There we go.
Oh, no.
It wasn't on him, so.
So, yeah, man, Dean Dillon. Have you seen Tales from the Tour Bus?
No.
You need to check it out.
Yeah,
It's a lot of
I heard
fun.
about that.
So it's Mike Judge, who did Beavis and
Right.
Butthead and King
Yeah.
of the Hill and all that stuff, and he tells stories about outlaw country, Johnny Paycheck, Waylon
Yeah.
Jennings, Blaise Foley. Who else is on there? The dude from Louisiana played the piano. What's his name? Anyways,
Ray Charles?
No, Johnny.
Ray Charles was from Georgia. I think.
I don't know, man.
Man, I can't believe I can't remember his name. Anyways, but he tells all these stories, and he does the cartoon version, right? So they have
Yeah.
some old band members, lawyers, girlfriends and wives from the times, right? And they are sitting there and they tell stories about all this crazy shit they did, right?
Yeah.
And he animates it, and then has a conversation where a guy, the drummer, is like, yeah, and then Johnny went over there and said this, and then it's Johnny Paycheck doing it in a cartoon
Right.
voice, whatever. But it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's really a lot of fun, and it's really educational on some of that stuff I didn't know. Kind of
Yeah.
the backstory behind them all.
Who puts that out?
It's on Amazon is where I
Amazon.
got it from.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Amazon Prime. You can find it. Tales from the Tour Bus. I think it came on Showtime.
Okay.
It aired on Showtime,
Yeah.
and then they did a season 2 that was funk, and it was like George.
I thought you
Clinton.
were gonna say like it was terrible.
No.
No,
It
it's
was funk music.
Oh, okay.
So it was George Clinton and
Yeah.
whatever the kind of 70s funk
Right.
scene and all that kind of stuff. Same thing, just
Yeah. That's kind of weird that you were bringing up Mike Judge, because the other day I watched the documentary on Beavis and Butthead for like some random, like, I mean, I'm not going to say where I was at but I was at a place where it was very boring. So I have to watch things to make my mind okay. But anyway, so I watched the documentary on Beavis and Butthead, and like just didn't realize how like talented Mike Judge is.
Oh yeah,
like just ridiculously talented.
Yeah, no, stud for sure.
Yeah.
No, but the story of Blaise Foley, are you familiar with him?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I want to watch that movie that came out about him.
Ethan Hawke did the movie.
But I did watch some interviews that some people did about him, though.
Yeah. Fascinating guy, man. It's
Yeah.
like one of those that's, whatever you want to say, lived his life as an artist.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't care, slept underneath pool tables and honky tonks.
Yeah.
And then got up and was like a 6'5", 6'6", kind of monster bearded, scary looking guy. But would get up there and start singing and would just melt hearts.
Yeah.
Never kind of took off, never anything, but he's Texas folk hero. Especially in the Austin scene, right? For just living his life, doing what he wanted, and actually a couple of his songs I really enjoy, and and again on YouTube there's videos of him singing it.
Yeah,
and it's really quite cool. It's a really cool story.
Yeah.
It's just one of those, like you said, somebody devoted his life. And the way he was killed says a lot too. If you're not familiar with the story, he was there was this old I think he was a World War II veteran, old black guy sitting out on his porch, and he'd stop by and he'd talk to him, and they became friends. And he would play music with him. I think the guy played harmonic or something like that. And the guy's son would come around and take his Social Security check on Fridays.
Yeah.
Like whatever, and go buy drugs. His son was a drug addict or something like that. And so Blaise Foley got wind of it, went over there and got a hold of the son, beat him up, said, this shit's going to stop, all that kind of stuff. Well, the next month rolls around. Well, Blaise Foley goes over there and makes sure it's not going to happen again, right? And the guy shows up with a .22 pistol and shoots him in the liver.
Oh, man.
Kills him. And I think the guy got away from it because it was self-defense or something like that. I don't know. A crazy story.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's an interesting watch, man. He's the season finale of the Tales of the Tour Bus. He's the last one. So it's kind of a, they do a real good job of it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. But
it's kind of like Townes Van Zandt, where he had that one where he like wanted to see if he could fly or something like that, and he jumped off his balcony.
So him and Townes Van Zandt were best of buds.
Yeah.
Right, is the whole deal. And in the story, right, there's Townes Van Zandt with him the whole time, because Townes Van Zandt was trying to, hey, you need to cut an album, you need to do that.
Yeah.
And much like yourself, the rebellious type, right? Yeah. He's like, take this shit. But he didn't want to be owned, right?
Yeah.
I ain't signing no deal with no record company. You're not going to own me and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Sabotaged himself in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
To stay true to what he believed music would be.
Yeah. That's why he's a hero.
Yeah, exactly. the folk hero,
I mean, he's the tragic story, but that's why he's a hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a funny story about him going to some concert. It was a what's it called? Like what do they call, like a festival?
Yeah.
So he went to a big festival and got in it with the guy who's running the festival, spit in his face or something like that, and the guy ended up fighting and all this kind of stuff. Got kicked out, banned for life.
Yeah.
So, like, the next day he shows up and he's wearing a dress and a lipstick, but he's still got his full beard and a mustache.
Yeah.
He's still 6'6". He's sitting down and they're like, what the hell are you doing? It's pretty funny, man.
Never done that. Never done that in my entire life.
It's like that Tyler Childers. Have you seen the new music video?
All Yourn.
All Yourn. That's my favorite Tyler Childers song.
Man, Tyler Childers is amazing.
Yeah.
God.
Tammy Chiggers?
Awesome. Tammy Chiggers.
Tammy Chiggers, yeah.
Cody actually showed, well, do you know Cody? Have you met Cody?
Yes.
You don't know Cody. You know Cody.
Yes, I do.
He showed me that music video. I thought it was amazing.
So I told, there's a comment on the YouTube channel of that video that says, Tammy Chiggers gave me pink eye, and I'm not mad about it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, Tyler Childers is, as long as he stays true to what he's doing right now, that dude will be great.
He's amazing, man.
Yeah.
He really is. he's that all Yorn. I got some theories on what that. I think that song's about smoking the marijuana.
The Jane.
Yeah.
The Jane. Well, Matt, we have some people asking. Are you gonna sing?
Yes, later.
Yeah. That's what I replied. I said yes here just shortly.
What's crazy is a lot of people from work are.
Everybody's at work watching this interview.
Everybody's at work.
Who's keeping it running out there, boys?
Yeah. So we got all kinds of people on here.
My aunt.
Freebird.
Yeah, Cody said Freebird.
Sing something we all know.
So, are you going to sing Tennessee Whiskey?
No.
That's something we all know.
So, what's some of your? Do you have any cover songs that you really enjoy playing, or is kind of like your? I know you said Garth Brooks is a hero.
Yeah, I got away from playing a lot of Garth Brooks, just because it's like, it kind of became a joke, you know, like everybody's like, oh man, like Matt loves Garth Brooks, blah blah. But I do end my show every night on Friends in Low Places, depending on where I'm at. Like if I'm at Badass, I don't. But if I'm at like the Fill Station or something like that, where like it's like a a kind of a party crowd, I will.
That's a good drinking tune.
Yeah, it's just something to sing along to. Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. Yeah,
Badass is in Badass Ice House in Oyster Creek is kind of like my home base. So I go there and just kind of chill out and get Sorry everyone, we are back.
Yes.
That doesn't sound right.
And bang.
We're back. Sorry.
Wow.
Little technical difficulties. The intranets and the way the satellite came down and our power surge and something happened. But anyways,
why you got me on here? And I'm sorry.
Moving right along. What's your favorite venues to play, man? Like where have you been? That's just like this place is.
I got to play Green Hall, and that was like my ultimate like.
The Holy Grail.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't play on stage or anything like that, but I did get to play at Green Hall.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, a guy named Trace Womack, he played with the Chubby Knuckle Choir. And which that band
the Chubby Knuckle Choir?
Yeah, that band was awesome. It's still going on. Trace, I think, left. Yeah, he did leave. He's doing his own thing. But I got to play Green Hall, which was just awesome. I was like very nervous, and Trace thought it was funny to have me start the show just because whenever me and him played together, I did it to him, and so I got to start it, and I played a song that I just wrote, which is like, taboo. You don't do that. Just because you're just gonna screw it up,
But nobody knows the difference.
Yeah, but I didn't, and like I just, and so at the end, we played with a guy named Slim Bob Pierce, and that dude plays like all sorts of instruments, and he's just the most
Slim Bob.
Like, think of a guy named Slim Bob, and whatever comes to your mind, that's exactly who he is. He's like super cool, tatted up, and he plays every kind of instrument you could ever think of, and very, very well.
Yeah.
And so him playing over my songs were just awesome.
Yeah.
Where else?
Bob.
I played at Lukenbach just like in a circle, which was cool too. I got to play like during the wintertime inside the store, around the stove, which was awesome, with some friends of mine.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, those are the two things places that really stand out to me. My favorite places around where I live is the Fill Station and Badass. Badass is I've played there for a while. Like I said, it's kind of my home base, and I love playing there.
Have you seen any shows or ever played at the old quarter acoustic cafe down in Galveston?
I always wanted to go there.
Yeah. I bet that's more and more becoming my favorite, especially around here, man. It's one of my favorite spots.
I got to play the Monkey Duck. That Monkey Duck is my other favorite place. Yeah.
The Monkey Duck?
Mucky Duck.
Mucky. Where's that
Duck.
at?
It's in Houston somewhere. I don't know.
The Mucky Duck.
I'm not good with places. I don't know. Like, I mean, I stick to Brazoria County. Anything outside of Brazoria County, I have no idea where it's at. No, but the Monkey Duck, I got to play with some friends on that stage because of John Evans. and I always wanted to, from my very first show when I went to go see actually John play there. It's just an acoustic venue. It's like a listening room, and I just love those places. I don't get to play those places too much. Like, you know, you're playing loud bars. People don't give two shits of what you're playing unless they know the songs.
Yeah.
Shut up and get to the chorus. You know, that's what they say.
Don't bore us. Get to the chorus.
Yeah. So the Mucky Duck was awesome. I would like to play the Old Quarter though. The Old Quarter is another listening room.
Dude, yeah, it's a great venue, man.
Yeah, Towns Van Zandt Old Quarter album is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, when you go in there, it's half the posters and pictures and all that stuff up there.
Yeah, I mean, he used to have residencies there. So, I mean, that dude, Towns Van Zandt, man. One of the just, greatest talents to ever come out of Texas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of fun, man. So what, if people wanted to buy your album, get a hold of it, how can we do it?
Ooh, well, I have links on my website, mattmathis.com. But it's on iTunes, it's on Spotify.
What's the name of the album?
Casualties of a Honky Tonk Singer.
It's great.
Yeah, it's a line in a song that's not on the album.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
I play with quite often with a guy named Mark Pepper. He's a bass player. He came up with Ryan Bingham. He played bass for Ryan Bingham before Ryan Bingham was Ryan Bingham.
I thought he was the Mark Pepper.
He is the Mark Pepper.
Yeah.
But he's also played. Name. He ran the rodeo circuit.
Yeah, it's not like a good cowboy name.
He's played with a lot of people. I mean, like you name it, he's played with them.
Yeah.
And we get the luxury of him being from Brazoria County or living in Brazoria County, and so I get to play with him a lot. And I wrote a song called Travelin Man, which I'll play later, that has the line she's a casualty of a honky tonk singer. And Mark Pepper, that night that I sang that song for him the first time, he just turned to me and he was like, "That's one of the greatest lines I've ever heard in my life." And he was like, "How'd you come up with that?" I have no idea. Don't know. I don't even remember writing that song. Yeah. A lot of the things that I've written, I just don't. I was listening to that old record that I came out with like in 2004 or 6 or something like that. I don't remember writing any of those songs. Yeah. It's just like I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, Casualties of a Honky Tonk Singer. It's on iTunes, it's on Spotify, it's on Amazon, it's on Google. And then I also have an EP called Another Whiskey Song that's on SoundCloud. I don't know if people still use that or not anymore.
I do SoundCloud every once in a while.
Yeah. That's where Post Malone got his start. But
good old Posty.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Post Malone.
No, I love Post Malone.
I like Post.
Did you hear the new Post Malone Ozzy song?
Didn't he
like Ozzy Osbourne?
Ozzy Osbourne,
No.
Post Malone, Travis Scott.
No, I haven't heard that
Listen
yet.
to it today. It's pretty good.
Huh.
Didn't he cut a song with Willie not too long ago?
I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
I mean, they're cut
Willie?
from the same cloth.
Nelson, yeah.
Post Malone is so awesome just because of the fact that he's unapologetic about what he's doing. He loves to drink Bud Light. He loves to smoke cigarettes and smoke weed.
He likes Bud Light?
You
don't say.
Yeah, he's sponsored
That's
by
all
Bud
he
Light.
talks about.
Yeah. I know. That used to be my ultimate goal. Well, one of them was to be sponsored by Jack Daniels until I quit drinking whiskey for reasons that are health wise.
For pictures on the internet.
Yeah.
And on my phone.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the other one was I wanted to be sponsored by Bud Light. And then now that I've gotten older and gotten gout, I can't drink Bud Light as much. So I'm telling you people too much. Therapy.
That's not contagious, is it? No, seriously, is it? Don't touch me.
No, you got it.
So, I know you said something about, or you talked about your shows you had coming up here in the next week. You got anything big in the next couple months, or anything we can be looking forward to or looking out for?
No, because of work.
It's kind of hard to plan
Yeah,
ahead.
I don't really plan that far ahead anymore. It got to the point where like it was hard to get up every morning and go to work after playing 3 nights in a row.
Yeah.
So I quit and stopped doing that. So I just play mostly at Badass and at the Fill Station when I can.
So what about the social media sites? Where can everybody follow you at?
I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Mathis Music, on both of those. Snapchat, I believe, is the same. Not sure. But mostly like that. Yeah,
I've
Facebook
never
and
received a
Instagram.
Snapchat from you yet.
I don't think that me and you are friends on Snapchat. I don't really want to be friends with you on Snapchat.
You don't.
Damn, there's some turmoil.
It is
right
now
there.
illegal in the state of Texas to send a nude photo to somebody. Did you know that?
Unsolicited, though.
Unsolicited.
Unsolicited.
$500 fine. I say
But
it's
you
worth
have
it.
to prove that it was. You have to
Worth
prove
it.
Yeah, you have to prove that it was it was solicited. If like you get in trouble, I don't know. I got out of that game a couple
How
years
much
ago.
research have you done?
Yes,
into
I
this?
got out of that game a
How
couple
can I
years
get
ago.
around this? Huh.
I say worth it.
That game got once I put on some weight, I just got out of that game.
Well, cool, man.
Is he good? Are you good?
Yeah.
What do you think, man? You want to get some tunes going? You want to strum on the old strings?
Yeah, I guess we could do that.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go get him set up outside.
Okay.
And you're going to have a little monologue here.
Here we go.
But in the meantime, I'm going to just play a song for everybody while we are setting up real quick. And then we will be back here shortly.
I've been laying here for days, wondering when you're coming back my way. Heard you've been going round town, living it up, putting me down. Ain't no need to put me down, babe. I'm as low as I can go, putting